agenda items and the consent agenda. So we don't discuss them unless anyone on the board wants to pull one out and discuss it. Otherwise, it's accepted as printed in here, and the one agenda is the one we do follow. That one we go through each agenda item. Just so you're aware, mainly for the ones that we approved this whole, all these numbers, what is it this week, A through, whatever, we approved them all in one motion.
A through L.
A through L. Just so that helps you to, the agendas come out 3 or 4 days before the meeting. People have time, our board members have time to look through the agendas. And if there's one in there they want to discuss, any one of us want to discuss, we can pull that agenda item out and do that one separately. Did I cover that, Paul? Pretty good.
Yeah.
And we do always start our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, so we are good to go. One thing is we can never start early. And for public hearings, we have to wait for the time for those as well. So that's why we needed to go through 9 o'clock. We can start late, we can't start early.
I think we are up to the point where we can begin. So I'm showing the time of 9 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the McLeod County Board of Commissioners today. We also recognize that today is Student Government Day. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. After our Pledge of Allegiance, could we please remain standing for a moment of silence to recognize the 7 law enforcement officers that have been wounded this year, and also the Pope County deputy that lost his life, Deputy Joshua Owens, this past weekend.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Being we just took a moment of silence, I'd like to just give my own condolences to the family of the deputy in Pope County, and I also would like to recognize our sheriff's department, or all law enforcement for that matter. For those that don't know, Commissioner Nagel is a police officer in Hutchinson. I mean, these guys in this world today risk their lives every day to help our freedom. So I just want to recognize that on my own. Thank you.
Very good. We'll be moving on to employee recognition. Hannah.
Good morning. Thank you for giving this time this morning. Nice to see everybody in the room as well. One of the really fun things about my job is that we get to take time to recognize those who've been with the county for a significant amount of time, or just retiring generally here at the county. Joanne Boland is unfortunately not able to be with us this morning. She retired as of Friday, and she said, send me an email, and she's on a trip already. So she's not here with us today. But Joanne is a public health nurse who has been with the county for almost 28 years. And we just want to say congratulations to Joanne and her service. Joanne is someone that worked in our jail very regularly, serving those needs within the jail from a public health perspective. And so we just want to thank Joanne for her work and service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on through our agenda, the next will be consideration of agenda items. Do we have anything to add to our agenda today?
I have a correction, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
A correction for item 7A, environmental services. The date for the license to permit large assemblies application by the Church of the Holy Trinity for the 2023 Woodstock Country Music Festival should be 12:00 p.m. Thursday, June 15, 2023 to 12:00 p.m. Sunday, June 18, 2023. That's all.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
With the correction to the agenda, I will move agenda.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Schmalz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Luthens to approve today's agenda. Is there any discussion? We'll then proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
No changes, Mr. Chair.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Schmalz to approve today's consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? We'll then proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On item 4, Midwest Medical Examiner's Office.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Shane Sheets. I'm the Director of the Midwest Medical Examiner's Office, and in this capacity, we serve as your appointed medical examiner for McLeod County. Usually Dr. Quinn Piper's here. She's more fun. She's a little more talkative. So this is my first time doing this for the board. She unfortunately was very busy this week, as we've all somewhat noticed on the news, but I understand why she likes it so much. We have Student Government Day. We're hiring forensic pathologists. If anybody wants to go to med school, if you can hurry up, that'd be wonderful. But no, so as a medical examiner, our job is to determine the cause, manner, mechanism of death, as well as process all cremations, sign death certificates for unnatural deaths. And in this capacity, I mean, we've been in McLeod County, we've served for quite a number of years. And I'm also very local to the area, so it wasn't too bad of a drive. I'm over in Sibley County, so not too bad. And we'll cover a little bit of the data. Every year we come out here and do an annual report and discuss with the commissioners the trends in your community of what we noticed. For jurisdiction in 2022, we had 30 assumed cases. And assumed means that this death was unnatural or appeared to be unnatural. It wasn't an obvious natural death. And so that required an investigation, signed the death certificate by one of our forensic pathologists, and oftentimes it includes an autopsy. And declined jurisdiction means that we investigated the death on the scene and it was deemed natural causes. It was obvious, like let's put into perspective a 90-year-old male, history of cancer, and he passed away at home. There's no need to do an autopsy on that person because it was very natural. And we know exactly how they died. Their family doctor was taking care of them and can sign that certificate. So in 2022, making sure I have the right slide up here, perfect. We had 30 of those of assumed. Declined, we had 188. So assume that's, unfortunately that is, well, fortunately that's down from 36 in 2021. And the 188, that is up from 161 deaths in 2021, with a grand total of 218 deaths that we investigated on a scene. And that is again up from 2021, which is consistent with other counties. And we'll go to the next slide, thank you. Now, manner is, of course, the way in which the death occurs. And you'll hear the term cause of death, and cause is the underlying medical condition. It's really what began the lethal chain of events. And the medical examiner is the only person that can document all 5 manners of death. There's homicide, accident, natural, suicide, and undetermined. In McLeod County, there were 0 homicides this year. That is down by 1 from 2021. Accidents did go up by 9 cases from 2021. Natural deaths, we noticed a decrease by 10. And for suicides, there were 3, which is down 4, which is incredibly rare in this day and age. So McLeod County has less suicides compared to last year. And 0 undetermined. We try to reserve that one. It's very rare to use, but it's an unfortunate situation if the decedent, we can't test any blood work, we can't do an exam, it has to be undetermined because we don't know how they died. So we had 0 of those. Accidents we tend to break down into a little more detail to provide a big picture. You'll notice one in there called blunt force injuries. Essentially, that's non-penetrating impact. So that's your cliche car accident, or it's somebody falling and bumping their head on a step or a hard surface. So in McLeod County this year, or sorry, in 2022, there were 14 blunt force injuries, and that is up 7 from 2021. For drugs and sub 4, which we're seeing that as a trend around the country. Otherwise, you had 1 fire death in 2021, but there were 0 this year as well. So, and we do have better graphs because I'm not a fan of looking at numbers on a spreadsheet. I promise this presentation gets a little more in detail where you can see the bigger picture. And for the blunt force injuries, motor vehicle accidents, there were 5 in 2022, and non-motor vehicle accidents, there were 9 in 2022. And if we break that down for your MVAs, motor vehicle accident fatalities, that's up 2 this year. And non-motor vehicle accidents, that is up by 5 this year. So quite a big jump there for accidents. And we try to show a graph of your assumed and declined jurisdictions. And as you can see, 86% of your death investigations that we respond to are declined. We investigate, we talk to family members, we look into the history of the decedent, find out when they were last known alive, what their medical condition was like, how they were acting upon their demise to find out if it's natural death or unnatural. And so the 14% to 86% is average with the state. Next one for us. And here we break down the exam types. A complete exam is what you oftentimes would see on TV on those neat shows that are not reality, by the way. You'll see that where they're doing a full exam. We're looking at each organ, we're doing histology slides, we're doing blood work, we're doing all the testing. An external is reserved for if we know, like let's say a hanging or something like that, that would be wise to do an external exam. There's no need to assess all the organs. Medical record review, your biggest one on there, unfortunately, and we're seeing this as a huge trend, and our county board has started to address it at a federal and state level. Medical record review means that the family practitioner was likely treating that patient consistently, but feels uncomfortable signing that death certificate. It can be for a lot of reasons. Sometimes it's lack of training for death certificates. Sometimes they don't want the liabilities of it. I'm not sure how many there are, but that's what we hear. And sometimes we'll have the VA state, patient didn't die at our facility, so therefore we can't sign it. So we're trying to work with physicians, train them, educate them on how to properly sign a death certificate for natural deaths, and hopefully lower that number, because it does use a lot of your resources at the county. So. And manner of death, we break down, as you can see, and this is very consistent, is accidents tend to be your biggest contributing factor in the manner of death in your community. Very, very common. And we break it down a little more. In drug substance abuse, there's 6, with blunt force injuries at 14. And a lot of commissioners want to know about the drug use in their community, because it's very good to hear, because we see it on the news all the time. Fentanyl, fentanyl, fentanyl. In McLeod County, there were 2 of those. 2 fentanyl. So it is an increase, but methamphetamine seems to be more consistent in this region. And we had 5 of them. In 2021, there were only 2. So there is an increase in meth use. And we also have noticed an uptick in kratom, which is like a synthetic opioid that people are using instead of fentanyl, instead of heroin, instead of pain meds. It can also be a fatal event. So. Blunt force injuries, as we covered, I mean, non-motor vehicle accidents, your trips, falls where you're hitting your head or falling down something, that's pretty consistent there, and MVAs are at 5, which is an increase. Any questions for us, commissioners? I know we went through that pretty quickly, so I'm open to any commentary. I'm not sure what Quinn usually covers, but I'm happy to try to answer the best I can.
Mr. Chair? Go ahead. And Shane, I got a question for you. Yes. We kind of cover this as, accidental or questionable deaths. If I was a family member and, grandma or grandpa passed away, and we say that, they died from a natural cause, but the family says, well, there's a history of heart disease and such, and we'd like to really know. Is that something that your office handles as well when you get those family requests for an exam on a person?
Great question. Great question. So yes, it is. So how that works is in government pays for, they want to know the public health data on anything unnatural, right? So you're wanting to know your car crash data, your overdose, your accidents, all those things. If it's natural, that tends to be they're with a doctor consistently, they're being treated, they know likely what their terminal event is. But you're right, some families want to know a little more. And so our office does perform private exams. So if we're at a scene, we'll investigate the death in McLeod County. If we decline jurisdiction and release that person to a funeral home with the doctor signing, the family can reach out to area medical examiners and ask for a private exam. It would be out of their pocket, but it does happen. And I think during the pandemic, we were the only medical examiner office that did private exams, at least consistently, and we continue to do so. And it gives some good data for families, especially if there's genetic issues that they really want to know about. So I'm happy that we can continue doing that for families.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Mr. Chair, go ahead. Could you just describe a little, your office is located where, which counties or do you serve? How counties come to work with you or partner with you, and maybe just, how many folks you have on board and things?
Absolutely. So we are growing. So the Midwest Medical Examiner's Office was created in 2009. We noticed a shortage of medical examiners. A forensic pathologist, a board-certified forensic pathologist, is the only person that can do an autopsy in Minnesota. That's in most of the U.S. And it requires med school. You go to school as long as a surgeon, essentially, to be a forensic pathologist. There's a massive shortage of them. There's less than 500 in the United States today. To give that a bigger perspective, think of the VA. They have 10,000 physicians plus thousands and thousands of contractors. So we're a team of 500 across the U.S. In our office, we have 4, and we are hiring a 5th forensic pathologist, and we have one that's likely to be hired shortly. So in 2009, we noticed that shortage of medical examiners, and then coroners are starting to retire. In Minnesota, to be a coroner, you have to be a medical doctor, but it doesn't matter what kind of medical doctor you are. And they tend to treat the living and honestly don't deal with the death too much. And so that's why a medical examiner system is pristine, and we also act as expert witness testimony in the court of law. And with that, we started to discuss with other counties on a cost-sharing model. So today, back in 2009, we started with 6 counties. Today, we are at 37 counties in Minnesota that have appointed us as their medical examiner. With that, cost has actually gone down, and we're reassessing fees for 2023, but we still remain at $2.46 per taxpayer in your community. That's what you pay for a board-certified forensic pathologist, which, honestly, I live in Sibley County, too. What are the odds of us having one around that area? Pretty slim to none. So we are lucky. And we're located in Anoka County in the city of Ramsey. And yep, we are growing. We also do all the Federal Bureau of Investigation cases on the Indian Country Jurisdiction Unit, which is Red Lake Nation. We also cover all the way up into Duluth, Coochiching County, and then down south into Rice County. So we have 4 pathologists and over 80 death investigators all over the state.
Mr. Chair, can you explain the role of a death investigator? Because that, it seems like you're hiring for often as well.
Yes, we are. So in each community that contracts with us to be their appointed medical examiner, we recruit, hire, train local death investigators because it provides a wonderful response time, because nobody wants to sit there alone with their loved one when they pass. They want to find out what happened and, of course, start the planning process for their funeral. And so we recruit and hire out there. And these death investigators, they're called medical legal death investigators. It's a mouthful. Dictionary won't correct you on it, but it is a real word. And in this capacity, your job is to respond to the scene upon call for a reportable death. And it's pretty much what you see in CSI, but not as fast, right? So you're going out there, you're doing a scene investigation, you're looking at what could have happened, right? You're trying to be the voice of the dead. Essentially, you're looking at their medications. Are they taken as prescribed? You're talking to families to find out what they were doing, what their actions were like prior to death. Were there any drug use? What's their medical history? All of the things. And so we have it down to a wonderful science, and you're all trained by board-certified forensic pathologists to do such. And that's actually how I started in the career back in 2010.
And what are the educational requirements?
That's a great one, because in the United States, there are none. You have to have a high school diploma, that's it. However, for our office, we hire based off, we want, of course, typically a physical science degree, history and police, fire, EMS, because we know at that point that you're able to perform an investigation, right? You know a lot about medical history, medical details, all of the things. So that's what we look for in our death investigators. And upon hire, the training program is quite significant. It's about a year to 2 years before you feel truly comfortable to go out there, but a lot of your work is shadowing with a peer.
Very good. Any further questions at all? We do have just a couple minutes left on our agenda for this item, so students, any questions at all from you? All right.
I have one,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair. Who is actually, Dr. Quinn is the medical examiner. Who's her boss?
So it is actually Rhonda Sivaraja and I. So in our system, the director and county administrator are the supervising parties. However, a medical examiner is appointed by the county board as well. So we perform the performance reviews for Dr. Piper, and then the county board is the one that appoints her every 4 years.
But I guess I'm curious, just through what you went through here, is who regulates them? It has to be a state or federal regulated? I guess I didn't ask it quite right, but who actually regulates the department?
Perfect question. So for regulation, all of the forensic pathologists, including the chief medical examiner, are all regulated by the Minnesota Department of Health. And so they have to have the typical MD license that's on file with the state. They can be investigated and inspected at any given time by the state of Minnesota.
Thank you.
Any further questions at all? Okay, well, thank you very much for your time and your presentation this morning.
Thank you for having me, Commissioners. Take care.
Next item on our agenda today will be emergency management. Kevin Matthews, our director.
Good morning.
Morning.
Here briefly this morning, I'm Kevin Matthews. I'm the Emergency Management Director. So welcome students to Government Day. Hope you find this day interesting and knowledgeable, and it gets you out of school today. So that kind of helps too, I'm sure. So we've all kind of been there and done that. So as the Emergency Management Director, it's my job to plan, prepare, respond and recover from all sorts of natural disasters. Currently, it is Severe Weather Awareness Week, so it's pretty timely. We're talking about flooding today. As you know, we did have a number of road closures in McLeod County. We've had roughly about 16 to 20 roads that I'm aware of that have closed. A lot of those roads are starting to open. We have 2 county roads opening today. So that is nice that the water's starting to recede. We have crested on both the Crow River in Hutchinson across the northern part of McLeod County, and then on the southern part, we have the main watershed district of the Buffalo Creek, and that is also crested on Friday last week. So that is starting to go down. The Crow River is remaining a little bit higher. It's kind of coming down slowly, but at least at this point, the Buffalo Creek is coming down a little quicker than actually the Crow River. So we've been monitoring this for several weeks already, and we're going to be monitoring for several more here as we continue on to this. So we're emergency management is we're doing twice weekly conference calls with the State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. So we're looking not only just at McLeod County, but as our state as a whole, because as we know, with any kind of disaster, they don't stop at the county line. So if we need to respond and help another jurisdiction out, we can do that. Across the state, we did have, or we will have to have $10.1 million of public damages to be included in a federal disaster declaration. That's where FEMA comes in, or the Federal Emergency Management Agency comes in and looks at providing some financial assistance to us. In McLeod County, at that point, to be included in that federal declaration, we need $163,200 roughly public damages in order for that to be included. And then if that's the case, we'd have the federal government pay 75% of the costs, and then the state would pick up the remaining 25%. There's a state disaster threshold. If we do not meet that, we have a state disaster that we could be included in. That's $81,600 of public damages. Again, that would be paid 75% by the state government and then 25% by the local. So one thing that actually made some news yesterday was Governor Walz signed into law the Disaster Assistant Contingency Account, and that is something that we have now as a state, $40 million of money that's been allocated and signed into law, so that would allow us to help us get our assistance, financial assistance during disasters at a timely meeting. So that is very proud to say. So it's just kind of a quick update. We just kind of recap, we have crested. We're still watching things. We're watching the weather this week. You know, there's going to be some chance of maybe some significant rains, which could increase our river levels again. So we're kind of watching that. So just want to leave a couple of safety items. Obviously, we've always heard turn around, don't drown. So do not cross flooded roads. There's a lot of times that we don't know what the road is like underneath that. And then also we don't want to swim or wade into that flooded water as well. There's a lot of debris in there. There could be sewage, there could be chemicals, and just faster currents as well. So we always encourage people to stay away from floodwaters so that we don't have to risk responders to come in to save lives. So any questions?
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks for the update.
Thank you.
Next agenda item, we'll call on our auditor treasurer, Connie Kurtzwig.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, board, students. Today I'm here for one item. It's just a notification item to the board. Per statute, section 469.175, subdivision 2, the City of Glencoe proposal for a new redevelopment district in the city and the establishment of a new tax increment financing district, number 3-20. The draft TIF plan was included in your packet. The proposed plan notes that RDV Companies, Inc. is proposing to acquire and renovate the former bus garages located within the city and includes 2 parcels, as the existing principal structures on the parcels have been inspected and found to be substandard. The city did schedule a public hearing actually last night on Monday, April 17th, to receive public comment on the proposed TIF district, and then all comments or questions could have been and still could be directed to the city administrator, Mark Larson. I did call the city this morning, and they did approve that TIF district. Anything for me?
Any
Mr.
questions at
Chair?
all? Yeah, go ahead.
I don't have any questions. I was there. I did attend a hearing last night, and I realized, I mean, like you said, they did approve it, but there's a lot of things about TIF districts and tax abatement districts that I personally don't know about, and I'd like to learn a little bit more about, because it's not, I mean, the county doesn't lose all their tax base on those buildings. There's a certain amount that the county's, all those kind of things I did not know. I had a conversation with the guy that did the report, and it was quite interesting. So sometime, maybe we should have a little workshop and spend a little time on the differences and what it really means, because after the meeting, it was a lot clearer than before.
Certainly, we could do that.
Okay, any questions for Connie? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Connie.
Next agenda item, we'll be calling on Mark Leckie, our Environmental Services Director. His item A that is where we made a change on the date there to clarify. So,
Good morning, everyone. Welcome, students. Good to see a good turnout here. I do have 3 items for you this morning. Item A is to consider approving a license to permit large assembly application by the Church of Holy Trinity Winsted for the 2023 Woodstock Country Music Festival. The purpose of the festival is to raise funds to support Holy Trinity schools in Winsted, Minnesota. The assembly begins as we amended Thursday, June 15th, 2023 at noon, 12 p.m., and will end at 12 p.m. noon on Sunday, June 18th, 2023. The number of tickets to be sold, issued, or distributed is 18,999. This is a decrease from last year. They did go up to 20,999. They are going back to their original number at 18,999. So in the pack, you'll see that. This area is adjacent to County Road 5, located in the northwest quarter of Section 15, Township 117, Range 27 West, which is Winsted Township. Jim Mendoza is here. If there are questions for him, he has been through the city of Winsted as well as the Winsted Township, and he has gained approval from both of those entities.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
I do have one quick question. What is the purpose, or is there a reason in emergency management or something that you would want to lower the number? I mean, first time I think I probably paid attention to the
So
number.
Jim, you want to come up and answer that for the board? I think it's more of a logistics piece. They've done a great job working with these guys for the last 20-plus years. Things have been streamlined in our processes, so it goes through myself, our sheriff, Tim Langenfeld, as well as our auditor treasurer's office for review. So I believe it's more of a logistic issue, but I'll let Jim speak to that.
So yes, thank you. It is about the logistics primarily, and so we have to plan with the local law enforcement as well as the sheriff's department to make sure we have enough people. And so the amount of people that they need for that event is highly dependent on the number of attendees. So they would like an accurate estimate of how many people we expect at the event for a particular year so they can plan accordingly.
Okay, any further questions?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
And Jim, Can I ask now, how many years have we run Winstock in the community and the surrounding areas of Winsted?
So this will be our 29th year, and next year will be our 30th anniversary. So it's been going on for quite a few years. It's been a great fundraiser for our school.
Thank you, Jim. And Mr. Chair, a follow-up with that. I mean, in reading through the board packet, I think I mentioned this last year as well when we looked at, the permitting, was how everything is coordinated to pull this event off, to have, invite people from outstate to come. And what I mean by that is I'm talking about how contact is made with at least 4 hospitals in the surrounding area. The security it's just a very large endeavor that I believe you're getting very good at doing. I mean, the event gets better and better every year, and I applaud the event organizers and what they do. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
With the report given, I will move the request on the permitting the large assembly for Winstock.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Schmalz. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Luthens, approving a license to permit the large assembly application by the Church of Holy Trinity for the 2023 Winstock Country Music Festival. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Items B and C are both, I believe, could be taken together, and that is a request to approve an independent contractor professional service agreement between McLeod County through McLeod County Environmental Service Department and Kendall Kubosh Excavating LLC for subsewage treatment systems services from February 5th, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. Item C is the same contract with Wayne Radke Sewer Services for the same time frame. With that being said, the cost breakdown for this, and I'll just read through that, it's in the packet. Number 1, as compensation for inspection services of new subsurface sewage treatment systems, contractor shall receive $225 per inspection, not to exceed the sum of $11,250 in calendar year 2023. For soil verifications, they would receive $175 per soil verification, not to exceed $8,750 in calendar year 2023. As compensation for reviewing and issuing of new subsurface sewage treatment systems, so that is reviewing the design, the contractor shall receive $150 per SSTS permit, not to exceed a sum of $7,500 in calendar year 2023. And any additional services between the contractor and McLeod County, we would come back to the board with an agreed upon sum for that service. What would that be? If we got a report for a violation of a system that was surfacing and we needed to do an inspection on that, took a little bit of time, we'd come back and get approved from the board before we initiated that activity. So with that being said, these are 2 contracts. We are without staff right now. These are contracts that we had last year with both of these individuals, so this is a continuation. We do have 2 staff that are working through the process of getting licensed with the state. There are 5 classes attached to that, so we're at the mercy of the state schedule, and there are a lot of counties out there in our position that are looking to get staff licensed.
Okay, board.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I see that the verbiage looks identical, so with that, I would move to approve these 2 contracts.
The motion by Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Schmalz. To consider approving the contract for professional services, the first between McLeod County and Kubosh Excavating, the second between McLeod County and Dwayne Radke Sewer Services. Is there any discussion? Then proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Public Works. Andrew Engel, Director.
Good morning.
Morning.
Consider approving the following quotes for the Glencoe Area Transportation Services Project at a total cost of $79,596.92, with funds from the COVID County Relief Budget and the designated for capital assets budget. The board allocated up to $1 million of American Rescue Plan Act funds for this project in July of 2022. So these are the, some of the remaining items when we went out for public bid back in February for the GATS project. These were the categories that we either rejected bids on or did not receive bids.
Okay, board?
Question, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Question, Andrew, now the total cost, you have at 79,596, is that pre these approvals?
So that is the total of these approvals. Total to date, after this would be approved, would be $1,352,805.92.
So we're within that, I'll move to approve these bids.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Luthens to consider the following bids for our GATS facility, funds coming from the COVID county relief budget and also capital assets budget. Any further discussion? Further discussion, we'll then proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Andrew, before we move off this subject, how are things going there? I mean,
So we are on track to start breaking ground here at the beginning of May. The first round of contracts that the board approved, those bids, they've all been signed. Contractors are getting materials up and going, and so we're on schedule at this point.
okay, thank you.
Second item here, consider approving roadway drainage utility easements from Charles R. Gutzman and Leanne P. Gutzman for the state aid project SAP 043605016, the county state aid Highway 5 extension project in Winsted. This easement allows the construction of bypass lane on CASA 9 at the new intersection of New CASA 5. Per the cooperative construction agreement with the city of Winsted, there is no cost to the county for these easements.
Mr. Chair.
Board? Yes.
Move approval of the request.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Luthens to consider approving roadway drainage utility easements from the Gutzmans for the county state aid Highway 5 extension project. Any further discussion? We'll then proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right. Consider approving right-of-way acquisition of permanent roadway and temporary easements for the county state aid highway, CSA 115, CSA 25, Airport Road, Jefferson Street Roundabout Project at a cost of $49,150 with funds from the highway construction budget. The easements include properties PID 234910030 owned by Presbyterian Homes. Permanent easement of $34,800, temporary easement of $50, total easements cost $34,850, and PID 060510230 owned by J&S Leeds, temporary easement of $4,300 with damages totaling $10,000 with a total acquisition cost of $14,300.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Are these easements complete for this project? No,
These are the first two for the project.
okay, and we have a ways to go on the rest?
Yep.
Okay. Did we set, these seem pretty good, lack of a better word, so are things looking within budget on these easements?
Yep, these came in at appraised value.
Okay. I'll move to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Luthens to approve the acquisition of roadway for the easements on County State Aid 11525, project cost of $49,150 with the dollars and parcel identification numbers listed in today's agenda. We'll now proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right, and then the last item I have for you this morning, consider hiring SEH Inc. of Hutchinson, Minnesota to prepare plans for the fairground drainage improvement project at a cost of $21,600 with funds from the designated for capital assets fund. The scope of work includes completing plans and specifications for the reclaiming and repaving of the inner ring road, installation of gutter, and additional storm sewer.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I already know the answer because I checked with Andrew, but just would you explain to the rest of the board, I have no problem with this, but explain why we didn't get a competitive bid or...
Yep, SEH has done a lot of the storm sewer and drainage work in the fairgrounds in the past. So that makes them a little ahead of the game as far as other firms with having all the information, the models put together. And then when their quote came in, it is well within the expected range of, percentages of expected construction costs.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, yeah.
how much work is there for that 21,000 to be done at the fairgrounds? Pretty well all done already, isn't it?
No, there's actually, Andrew, I'll let you explain. There's an extensive amount of work to be done there. That inner ring road will pretty much have to be removed and start over this fall. So Andrew, why don't you explain the project?
Yep, so the project consists of reclaiming that inner ring road. Right now, the drainage in there, there's a couple of catch basins that are too high. There are some areas that just don't drain. So this project will reclaim that, redesign all the cross slopes so that the slopes of that inner ring road so that water will be run to the catch basins. And then where that cannot happen, installing new catch basins and running a couple of new storm sewer lines to get water to the storm pond so that that inner ring road, the mall area drains properly.
Is the building being raised at all?
Which building?
The one we're putting up?
We haven't set the elevation of that one yet, so that will be taken into account while we're working through that project.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Is there any changes in that ring road? I mean, is it going to be wider, narrower?
Nope, it's going to sit in the same footprint. The addition of a concrete ribbon or gutter on the inside of that to delineate the edge of the bituminous pavement from the green area, and then that'll also help funnel water to the catch basins.
Okay. Is lighting taken into consideration? I mean, it's really not in your area, but is that taken into consideration? I don't know. I just thought of it while we were talking, me and you tearing it up.
That has not come up to date on that. That is something we can take a look at with the rest of the fairground staff and see what we need to do and what's out there, but that is not included in this project at this time.
Probably a good idea to look at so I don't have to go through a new road. I have no idea, maybe what's there is already up to whatever code they want, but with that, I'll move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Luthens to consider hiring SEH of Hutchinson to prepare the plans for Fairgrounds Drainage Improvement Project at a cost of $21,600. Funds coming from the Capital Assets Fund. Is there any further discussion?
Discussion, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Question I have, Andrew. What's the timing of making this improvement with the roadway surface, knowing that we're going to be looking at doing a pavilion upgrade or addition in the area right adjacent to the roads?
Yep, so that's critical in making sure these two projects are talking and they're occurring, overlapping, right? We don't want to replace that ring road and then be driving heavy equipment over it at the same time while we're building that pavilion. So the idea is to have these projects ongoing at the same time under construction.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yep. And just to add our discussion at our commission meetings, we'll be, targeting fall after the county fair for this, but we do have some rentals that'll be taking place, and we're working with those, and anybody who rents buildings, facilities during construction, our staff will be doing everything that they can to accommodate and to make sure that they're aware that that road might be not functional during their event. So, any further discussion? We'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll call Building Maintenance, Spencer Bauer, Supervisor.
Good morning.
Morning.
Consider awarding a lawn contract to New Barth Landscaping out of Glencoe, Minnesota for 2023 and the 2024 mowing season for an estimated cost of $11,070. Funds will come from the courthouse building, government center building, and environmental services building budgets. Cost estimates are based on the average of 25 mowings per property, and the low bid was $11,070. Represents a $45 increase from previous two-year contract. Additional proposals were received from Annie's Lawn Care and Snow out of Lester Prairie, Minnesota, and Honeydew out of Glencoe.
Okay, questions, board? I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Luthens to award New Barth Landscaping for the 2023-2024 lawn mowing season of $11,700, affecting the courthouse, government center, and environmental services buildings. Is there any further discussion? See none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, County Attorney Ryan Hetch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One item for the board today, which is asking the court to consider adopting Resolution 23CB34 with consent to appoint Aaron Jordan to be an Assistant County Attorney effective July 10, 2023. So as the board knows, Minnesota State statute allows the county attorney to appoint assistant county attorneys to assist with the work that my office needs to do. Once appointed, those assistants have the same duties and responsibilities that I do, and then it's my responsibility to supervise and oversee their work. So statute gives me the authority to appoint an assistant, but it requires the consent of the county board. So Aaron Jordan is currently the Stevens County Attorney. He has been the Stevens County Attorney since 2011, so he's the elected out there. Prior to that, he had worked as an Assistant County Attorney in Cass County, and then he had been licensed to practice law since 2001. So he has a lot of prior experience, a lot of good experience, so we're excited about bringing him on board. The July start date gives him some time to coordinate with his current board to find a replacement and for them to appoint someone to fill that role. But we are excited about this opportunity and asking for the board's support on bringing him on board. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I will move Resolution 23-CB-34.
Okay, motion to approve by Commissioner Schmalz. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger to adopt Resolution 23CB34, appointing Aaron Jordan, Assistant McLeod County Attorney, effective July 10th, 2023. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I did not know until I heard from you what his resume looked like. I think we're fortunate, and congratulations for getting this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further comments, questions? Then proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
On to County Administration.
Thank you. Typically, we would go through the commissioners' calendars, a review of what they've done over the last few weeks. We are not doing that today just for the sake of time. But first, I would just want to recognize the educators in the Education Administration that helped make today happen for Student Government Day, and those who are here. Thank you very much for bringing your students. We thank you for your support. Item A, notification of a joint workshop with McLeod County and the City of Glencoe to discuss jurisdictional road designations at 5:00 p.m. Monday, April 24, 2023, at the Glencoe City Center, 1107 11th Street East, Glencoe. Item B, notification of an environmental services workshop, 9:00 a.m. Thursday, April 27, 2023, at the McLeod County Environmental Service Facility, 1065 Fifth Avenue Southeast in Hutchinson. And item C, notification of board workshop following the board meeting on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023, at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North here, Glencoe, Minnesota. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Being we have the students here today, Sheila, you might want to tell them why we notify in order to have a quorum.
It's required by statute, our notifications in our meeting postings, and we have a requirement for newspaper and other announcement areas. And if you want to know anything more about that, we can send that on to you. So
I wasn't sure they were aware, but I mean, we can't have more than 2 commissioners together unless the meetings are notified and posted, because after 2 or 3 makes a quorum where we could actually do business for, that's the simplified version, but I just thought you'd maybe like to know that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. We're at the end of our agenda today. We'll call for open forum or press relations. Students, this would kind of be your time to have any questions that you may have before we finally adjourn. Seeing none, we're looking for a motion to recess.
I so moved.
Motion by Luthens, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Schmalz. To recess our county board meeting until we meet again, 9 a.m. Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023 at the McLeod County Government Center. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We will next head over to the courthouse. When we go in, you're going to want to be kind of quiet because there's so many of us coming in at one time and you have to go through security, and I think that the teachers and everyone has the instructions for that. And then Ryan Hant, our county attorney, will present to you first in the jury assembly room, so we'll lead you up there after you get through security. Thank you to our board. And you're all welcome to join us, and lunch will start at 12.
Students, if you have any bottles, or garbage, you can bring it right back here.
Okay, yeah.